Hey guys, so as promised, I thought that I would tell you a little bit about me as a writer. It's kind of probably the biggest part of my life, and it has been for a long time, even though I didn't really settle on the idea of being a writer as a career until 2 or 3 years ago. But I've basically been writing short stories, poems, etc. since, God, I was little. I can remember going into my mom's office when I was just a kid, and she would give me little pieces of paper, and I would just write down little ideas for a story, or I would write poems, or I would write song lyrics, and I still write songs and poems to this day, even though now I mainly focus on prose, short stories, and the novel I'm working on. And it's just always kind of been a really huge part of me. And it's always been something I worked on without working on. I guess you could say it's for a long time it was just something I did. I didn't work on it to improve. I just did it because it made me feel good. It made me happy to write. It made me happy to put these things down in words, all these ideas bouncing around in my head. Because I've always been a really super imaginative person. I've always had a really active imagination. And a few years ago, when I wrote a short story called Lucy, one of my friends was reading it, and he made the suggestion to me to think about possibly being a writer as a career. He really, really liked this story, and a lot of people have given me some very positive feedback on my work. And so I sat down and I started to consider it, especially since I had always wanted to write a book. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized how many ideas I had bouncing around inside my cranium that I could turn into full-fledged novels. And all along the way, I've gotten amazing feedback on my work. People really, really seem to enjoy it. So I decided to go with it. And this past November, near the end of November, I started writing a novel, which it doesn't have a name yet because I'm impossible with titles. I can write the most wonderful story in the world, but I cannot for the life of me come up with an appropriate title for it. Um, but my personal editor, who's a very close friend of mine that I've known since sixth grade, has given me a deadline finally, and she wants the novel to be finished by June 14th of this year, which seems like an appropriate goal because I thought that I would be able to finish it by this summer. And as it stands, it is at about 42,000 words, which is an incredible number, even though it needs to be, I don't know, between 50 and 70,000. So I'm really, really close, and I'm super excited about this. Everyone who's done some beta testing on it, it's not a video game, I know, I'm sorry, but I call it beta testing. Just kind of reading over it just for content, for grammar, for spelling, all of this. They've all seemed to really like it, so I'm really, really hopeful. June 14th is gonna roll around, and hopefully it'll be done before then, or knowing me, I'll probably get it done on June 14th. And then my personal editor and myself will go through an intense period of just editing, just ripping it apart to put it back together so that when it's all done, it'll be polished and ready to send out to a publisher as soon as I can get an agent to take me on. So I'm really excited, and I just really want writing to be a part of my life. As long as I'm alive, basically. I plan on going to college and getting a major in English and doing some work in psychology so that I can do some better work in character development. And so my entire life has kind of been now tailored around writing. And I'm hoping that people will like it, and maybe I'll make something of myself. I actually have a name to put down in history somewhere. Maybe write some amazing novel that some future generation, maybe some of your children, will come home complaining about because their teachers are so mean and they're making them read this horrible classic novel. Well, that might not be the truest thing ever because I'm mostly a fantasy writer. It's still a possibility and it excites me. So, yeah, that's a little piece of me in case you were wondering. Um, I'm a writer, and look for my names on bookshelves across the country, across the world someday. I'm hoping that I'll be there. So, thanks. I just wanted to tell you guys about that. Like, subscribe, favorite, and give us a little bit of love. Thanks, guys.